Hello, I'm Bill Akins and welcome back to my shop. I haven't turned anything on the lathe in a while and I've been itching to do a turning. So what I decided to do is replicate this beer stein my father brought back from Germany in the early 60s when he was stationed there in the Army. And I'd always heard that most soldiers came back with beer steins and cuckoo clocks, and we got both. But it's a nice big mug there. Probably clay, I don't know, maybe ceramic. But anyway, I'm going to try to make that. And this summer, he turned me this one out of sycamore with a walnut handle. Still got some bark on it. Nice looking mug. So what I'm going to do, I have a nice piece of Bradford pear from my hometown, Blairsville, Georgia. On the old courthouse square, they had to take some trees down, and I was able to get a few pieces of the wood. And this is some Bradford pear, and I had cut it a while back in this nice box shape here, and I've kind of drawn out where I want my mug. And what I'm going to do is take it to the bandsaw and cut some of these corners off, make it easier for the lathe. So let's go there and shape up this a little bit. Well, I've got it turned down now, and did a little pre-sanding on the outside before I start on the inside. Just a little easier that way. I'll come back and do a little more sanding on it later, but a little more sanding, and I'm going to measure the height of the mug and probably cut it off a little bit and trim off this end before we start on the inside. Well, every project has its flaw or two. I was going to cut this off about 3/4 of an inch to be the same height as the other mug, and I realized I had a little crack pop up and it's going to run right through the top, so I'd rather leave that like it is. Using my skew, which me and the skew does not get along at all. I've tried once or twice, it works for me, but I was trying it a while ago to smooth it out. Got a big gouge in it, so I had to take it down a little farther than I wanted to. And the Forstner bit I'm going to use is a 3-inch. Not going to give me much of a wall, but we're going to try and see how it works. It may blow up on me. Well, so good so far. I told you I had that little crack in the end, and it worked itself out to the end with the vibrations. So I'll put some blue tape and some CA glue on there to help hold that. Hopefully that'll help hold it and keep it from cracking worse. I can finish drilling out the inside. It's going to be a very thin wall, but if I can get it to work, that'll be wonderful. I was going too fast and it jammed up on me. I blew the breaker on the lathe. That's okay. I reset it and let's start again. Well, this is a slow process, but it's working good. My tape's holding out. I have to stop every little bit and adjust my tailstock. Push it back in, wind it, crank it back down, go back in. I'm going to go about 1 inch or so far. So I'm about 2 inches in. I got 7 to go. And when I stop, I give it a few minutes to cool down because that is very hot. That bit and that gets hot in a hurry. So I want to let it cool down a little bit too. Well, I drilled to as far as I'm going to go, and that leaves about a 1/2 inch at the bottom. My inside depth is now about right at 7 inches, and that's where I want to stop. Next, I want to still trim off about a 1/2 inch at the top where that little crack was, and but I'm going to let it cool down. This cylinder is very hot, the bit's hot, and that's one of the things you need to keep an eye on is about every 1/2 inch to an inch, stop, pull it out, clean your dust out, and let everything cool down because it gets very hot in there. Okay, for the handle, I'm going to be using a piece of white oak, and what I've done is I've just laid it on the side of the mug, traced out the handle. I'm going to cut that out, but first in the roundest part of the handle, I'm going to use a forstner bit and drill that out. Okay, I've just trimmed it out on the bandsaw and got it real close to the line. I'm going to use the sanding drum here on my drill press, finish shaping the outside a little bit. I don't have one small enough to fit in here, so I'll have to just do some cleanup there. Also, I want to use that sanding drum and create just a little concave there so it'll fit around the mug, you know, because it's concave, and that'll fit around there. So do a little cleanup. Alright, I could take the handle to the router table with a roundover bit, but I'm just not comfortable using little things. I know I could use push pads, but I'm just going to do it by hand. And I'm going to start off with a rasp and round over these edges a little bit. And take a curved one and do a little work on the inside. But I decided I'm going to break down and use the woodworker's favorite tool, the Dremel tool. Yeah, I know we don't use it much, do we? But I think it's going to work fine here. Well, I finished sanding the handle, and I even used my orbital sander up to 220 a little bit. But a lot of hand sanding, got it all smoothed up. The drum sander did, put a nice little arc on these tips here where it's going to contact the mug, but it needs just a little more adjustment. So what I've done, I took some adhesive sandpaper, I'm putting it on here, and letting that define the shape. And that is one horrible squeak, isn't it? now the handle's done and this is cooled down, I went ahead and trimmed off this edge a little bit. I'm going to leave my tape on until I'm through with sanding the inside. Then I'll take it off and touch up the outside a little bit one more time. I'm just going to be sticking some sandpaper in here best I can, sanding the inside. And the only adhesive sandpaper I have is some 320. So what I'm going to do, I've got it wrapped around a spray can here, and I'm going to stick that in there and do a little final sanding with that. Well, I'm ready to attach the handle to the mug. It's ready to go. I've cut the tenon off the bottom and sanded it down, and it's nice and flush. I put it on my flat sheet here, put a level on it. It's nice and level. Let's see here what the final dimensions turned out to be. Outside is about 7.5, and we got 6 3/4 on the inside, so it gives me a quarter on the bottom. I was hoping for about a half, but you get a little more cutting on it. Alright, so what I'm going to do, just use a little Type Bond 2. And I decide I want to put it right here. Piece of blue painter's tape to hold it temporarily. And that is putting a good little bit of pressure on there. But I do want to add a clamp, and I'm not putting much because I can deform this thing. So I'm putting just a little pressure. Need a smaller clamp, and I'll prop it up. And we'll let that set up overnight. And then I'll come back tomorrow and put some finish on it. Well, back down here today, I took the clamp off and the handle is on well. It shifted on me a little bit though, the pressure with that clamp. I should have come back and checked it later, but it did shift a little bit. It's okay, I'm good with it. For a finish, a lot of times I use shellac and different things, but I want a food safe finish, and could use bold finish, but today I'm using Mahoney's walnut oil finish to start with. I'm just going to apply some of that. Oh, that really brings the wood out. That looks good on there. But yeah, that's looking sharp. I'm going to finish rubbing this down inside and out, and then we'll come back with the next step. Well, the Mahoney's oil really did a good job on this Bradford pear wood. I did not have enough of the pear to make a matching handle, and walnut would probably look better, but the white oak contrasted pretty well. Next, I'm using Mahoney's oil wax finish, which is beeswax, carnauba wax, and walnut oil mixture. And all this is food safe. Let's apply some of this on here. I'll coat this all up real good and then come back and buff it out. Buffing it out here with an old piece of flannel pajamas makes a good buffing rag. That looks pretty sharp there. I'm pleased with it. I've just started using Mahoney's walnut oil and oil finish here with that beeswax. It smells like it's already had honey in it, maybe some mead. Well, just as a recap, this was some Bradford pear that came from the courthouse grounds at my old hometown of Blairsville, Georgia. White oak from my father's yard for the handle. It's 7.5 inches tall, 7 inches inside deep, and 3-inch diameter hole there. Doing a little calculating, it'll hold about 28 ounces of beer, juice or water or, oh, what the heck, adult beverage. So, next step, go to the beer store. Thanks for watching, and make your own mug sometime.